Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, new support for a San Diego lawmaker's police reform bill.
That we are Californians and the reputation or the data that we have about the number of shootings in California is unacceptable. It is not what we believe is the Golden State.
Families affected by deadly police shootings rally behind Shirley Weber's push to change the use of deadly force. And regulating rent hikes, how a new push to address California's cost of living would affect tenants and landlords.
If I feel like interacting, there's somebody to talk to, because I think if I lived alone, I may never see anybody else.
For some of California's seniors, growing older also means finding a roommate. The financial and social reasons behind the housing trend.
Hey, I want to grow cannabis. I'm like, okay, well, do you have 7 or 8 million laying around to get it done?
The business of growing cannabis. See how local companies are entering a new industry that's already changing. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. It's Monday, May 13th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Mothers from across California rallied in Sacramento today. They want to change how and when police can use deadly force. They're part of a group that have lost loved ones to violent encounters with police. San Diego Assemblywoman Shirley Weber is trying to pass Assembly Bill 392. It would change the official guidelines for law enforcement agencies when it comes to use of force.
And we have to have the right spirit to basically create an environment in California where everyone feels protected by law enforcement. That law enforcement is truly our friend, the people who come in to make things better, not to make things worse.
This is the second time Weber is trying to pass the bill. Strong opposition from police groups stalled her efforts last year. The district attorney says 2 San Diego police officers were justified in firing shots during a shootout in the College area last year. And now body cam video is being made public. The video shows several shots being fired towards firefighters and police. They were responding to a disturbance call with the smell of smoke. 2 police officers were shot. Both have recovered. The shooter was wounded by police bullets, but the medical examiner says he died from a self-inflicted wound. San Francisco might become the first city in the country to ban the use of facial recognition technology by police. City leaders will vote on the proposal tomorrow. Privacy advocates say the technology could put people in police lineups without their knowledge. The state is also considering a ban on facial recognition when it comes to police body cameras. Nearly a year and a half into legal marijuana sales, the economics are changing. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman shows us how growers are adjusting their business plans.
What makes a good bud? I mean, obviously there are a lot of questions. What strain is it? You know, what's the flavor going to be and so forth.
Lincoln Fish is taking us on a tour inside the building where he grows cannabis in East San Diego County. High-pressure sodium lights give this room its yellow color.
This would be called a very frosty nug here with all those little white things. They're trichomes. It looks kind of like snow. This one's going to have a lot of flavor and a lot of oil out of it.
Fish is CEO of Outco Labs, which grows hundreds of cannabis plants at a time. The buds in this room are almost ready to harvest.
We're going to cut them down by the base here, and then we're going to take this out and we're actually going to hang it upside down. The drying process is very important to get the dry right, to get the water activity level right, and so forth.
Outco isn't your typical cannabis business. It grows, manufactures, and sells cannabis products at its own dispensaries. Outco also wholesales cannabis to retailers across Southern California.
We sell to 60 dispensaries plus. We'll be in over 200 by the end of the year.
Outco has its own line of products, including concentrates and vapes, items that Fish says are growing in demand.
You aren't getting a lot of new smokers. As you get new entrants to the market, they typically go to concentrates. They go to vapes or other concentrated products, or they go to edibles. That's the direction that they're going to go. You're not going to people who didn't smoke before aren't suddenly going to take up smoking because cannabis became legal, you know. And we're seeing that. We're seeing the flower as a percentage of the total sales. We're seeing that drop. So what you're going to see is a lot of plants that are grown to maximize how they might come out in an extraction, for example.
Growing cannabis indoors allows for a higher quality product, but it's expensive. You're basically creating a natural environment in a highly controlled way. There's lighting, air circulation, filtering, water, pest, and labor considerations. Fish believes as more growers come in, the cannabis growing process will change.
But I really believe that the days of the indoor grow, except for very specific niche kind of stuff, I think they're kind of numbered. I think we're going to see a lot of price compression to grow indoors, and you'll hear different numbers from different people, but let's call it between $500 and $600 a pound is your cost to grow. To grow in a sophisticated light deprivation, light supplementation greenhouse where you're using the power of the sun is more like $250 a pound, right? I think that's the future of the industry.
Greenhouses are how Mike Milano plans to grow cannabis.
Where we will have hard walls, clear roof, light deprivation, so we'll be able to black out the light completely.
Milano's family owns and operates a farm in the city of Oceanside. Milano Enterprises grows things like flowers and filler plants, just like this Israeli ruscus here. 2 years ago, the company's CEO, he left his position to pursue growing cannabis.
I just saw it as an opportunity that I don't think we'll see again. It's just a brand new industry, and it intrigued me. It interested me. There's way more gross margin in cannabis than there is in cut flowers.
Milano has been in the agriculture business for most of his life and says cannabis is just another crop.
I have a background of running large-scale ag operations, right? Cultivation of cannabis is just an ag operation, right? The fact that we're growing the taboo plant of cannabis is irrelevant. You just it's environmental controls, pest management, process management, labor management, all the same things that make you successful in a business like this make you successful in cannabis.
It's taken 2 years, but Milano just received a permit from the city of Oceanside to start growing cannabis.
It's been a challenge to work through the political process of all this.
Now he faces a state licensing process. Milano says it's a huge investment to start a cannabis growing operation.
I think it's really difficult for a smaller group that just wants to jump in now, or just an individual's like, hey, I want to grow cannabis. I'm like, okay, well, do you have 7 or 8 million laying around to get it done? Or do you have a year or two to do the political process? It's when you start asking the questions around what it actually takes, good luck.
Got to keep the air circulating. The air circulating helps really keep the plants healthy.
Outco's Fish agrees. He says the cannabis industry isn't the cash cow it's made out to be.
It's far more difficult to make money in cannabis than most people realize. And ultimately, it's going to be just like any other business in terms of you have to do things efficiently. You have to watch your margins. You have to, create a real business infrastructure.
Then there's the whole issue of competing with the black market.
Every legal operator will tell you that they aren't doing nearly as well as they could because of the black market.
Illegal grows aren't under any regulation and are avoiding taxes that legal operators face.
I'm happy to pay those taxes. I'm all for it, but it's got to coincide with making it more difficult for the other guy. The problem with that whole black market piece is they're using stuff all over the place. They're making products that they don't care about things like how much lead is in a vape cartridge or, what pesticides. They just don't care.
Fish says he hasn't seen a lot of enforcement from the state on cannabis. Just recently, California found it received lower tax revenue than originally projected. Fish says to see that revenue grow, illegal operators need to be shut down. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
As Matt Hoffman just said, the money generated by marijuana taxes is not as high as the state projected. The shortfall is more than $200 million through 2020. Governor Newsom is urging more cities and counties to allow cannabis businesses to operate. The state is still trying to fully implement a track and trace system to keep illegal products out of stores. While in San Diego last week, the governor talked to KPBS about the delay.
I just got here. I'm inheriting this. We're going to fix this. And it's going to take 5 to 7 years. I've said this for the last 2 years. I said, everyone be patient here. No one is patient.
The governor says enforcement of illegal businesses will be stepped up.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, trade tensions rise and markets stumble as China imposes retaliatory tariffs on U.S.-made goods. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
A bill that would limit rent increases in California is one step closer to becoming law. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar says it aims to stop rent gouging.
Tenants at this building in City Heights were notified last month that their rents would be increasing by 75% in July. Most of them said the hike was too high and they'd have to find a new place to live. But increasing the rent that much is perfectly legal in San Diego, as long as landlords give tenants the required amount of notice. That could all change if Assembly Bill 1482 becomes law.
The reason why this is so important to me is because it's about fairness.
Ginger Hitsky is an affordable housing developer. She says it should be illegal for developers to buy poorly maintained properties, fix them up, and then skyrocket the rent.
My biggest issue is with folks who are buying up existing apartment complexes that have a potential upside for rent. So they'll go in, they'll throw in a new kitchen, they'll throw in some new flooring, paint the walls gray, put some that wood siding on the side that looks real, architecturally cute, and just immediately jack up the rent. What value did that just add to society? What did you really do? You didn't do anything. You found an opportunity in the market and you exploited it.
Hitsky backs the new bill, which says that landlords cannot increase rents more than 5% per year, plus the rate of inflation. But some think the bill doesn't do enough. Catherine Mendonça is an organizer with San Diego Tenants Union, a group based in City Heights that advocates for tenants' rights.
Even if tenants are facing an 8% increase, let's say that's